When it comes to cattle slaughtering procedures occurring in Atlantic Canada, just what the halal is going on in PEI? Earlier this year, the CBC ran a glowing profile of a company called Atlantic Beef Products. And this slaughterhouse is a success story. It is the only slaughtering facility in Atlantic Canada. It's not one of those high-volume buildings such as the ones you find in Western Canada, but Atlantic definitely does serve a need for both local farmers and consumers. And the CBC certainly thinks so. Embracing a diversity is our strength narrative, the CBC story was headlined, "Blessed Beef, a Boon for PEI Company." The story noted that many of the employees are Muslim newcomers to Canada, which is fine. But then there was a statement by the company's CEO that created some controversy on the island. Namely, Russ Millard told the CBC that all cattle are slaughtered in the halal method, even though the Muslim population on PEI is perhaps about 2%. Now, the all-Halal statement is problematic for certain people who are not of the Muslim faith. Sikhs, for example, are forbidden from eating food blessed by someone of another faith, and many devout Christians have a problem with this too. Not sure where the atheists stand on this issue. In any event, Paul McGregor of Skip's Fish and Chips in Summerside, PEI, took issue with the all-Halal policy as well. And he did a cheeky Facebook marketing campaign in which he noted that his new burger is religion-free. In other words, it is made with non-halal ingredients sourced from Macquarie's Meats. Naturally, McGregor was condemned by the usual suspects for being a bigot for marketing his non-halal burger. Just check out a logic-defying story about McGregor in something called Carbonated TV. The headline states, "Canadian restaurant flaunts bigotry with new religion-free burger." And check out this line of copy from the writer Sam Walker regarding McGregor's decision to go non-halal. Quote, "The reason for this preference? Apparently it has nothing to do with the meat itself, but how one company prioritizes creating meals everyone can eat, including adherents to Islam," end quote. Hey, Sammy, what about all those other aforementioned people from other faiths who are actually forbidden to eat Islamic blessed beef, Sam? Sounds to me that you might suffer from Sikhophobia. Gee, who's the bigot now? Well, I put in a call to CEO of Atlantic Beef Products, Russ Millard. I wanted to ask why his company is 100% halal, especially given the very tiny Muslim population on the island. We had a long chat, and Millard came across as being a really good guy. Now, on the subject of halal slaughter, Millard told me that the certification board his company deals with allows the animal to be stunned first. He assured me that this is a far more humane way of ritualistic animal slaughter than halal classic, if you will. As for that other issue at hand, namely the fact that his plant is 100% halal, Millard dropped a bombshell. He told me he was misquoted by the CBC and that it's only a single-digit percentage of cattle that are being slaughtered using the halal process. Well, that changed everything because the story was no longer about islanders having to eat halal beef sourced from Atlantic whether they wanted to or not. No, the story had now become how unnecessary controversy had been created because of sloppy journalism on the behalf of the CBC. So I reached out to our state broadcaster to see if it planned to issue a correction or clarification. And to its credit, the CBC launched an investigation. And a few days later, CBC spokesman Chuck Thompson informed me that the CBC was standing by its story. Here's what Thompson said, quote, "I heard back from my colleague, Donna Logan, with CBC News and PEI, who spoke to Mr. Millard on Friday. As I understand it, the line you allege that was misquoted was, 'Now all the beef put through the plant are slaughtered in the halal tradition,' he said. This was a paraphrase and not a direct quote, but it was supported by the interview when it first happened, and then again during Donna Logan's conversation on Friday with Mr. Millard. Mr. Millard says that the line is accurate, and he also says he didn't tell you that we misquoted him. All of that to say, we are standing by our story. Thanks for your patience, end quote. What? Well, folks, for starters, if Millard had never said he was misquoted, I never would have contacted the CBC in the first place. So I reached out to Russ Millard again, and again, and again. Over several days, I called him more than probably a dozen times and left behind detailed voicemails. Not a single call back. So I put in a call to the Cattle Producers Association of Prince Edward Island. They told me the best source for information regarding my halal query was Bruce Andrews, who is the procurement and logistics manager at Atlantic Beef Products. So I called him to ask him just one simple question: how much beef is produced via the halal method? Andrews wouldn't say. Instead, he advised me to call, you guessed it, CEO Russ Millard. Now, I followed through with a few more calls to Millard until finally a colleague of Millard's told me he had nothing more to say on the matter and he would not be calling me back. Fortunately, I was able to reach a cattle farmer on the island. He didn't want his name used, but he told me that to make everything more efficient, all cows are indeed slaughtered the halal way at Atlantic Beef Products, even though not all the beef products are labeled halal. He said, quote, they, Atlantic, were excited about this halal slaughter and never saw a problem, end quote. The farmer told me that in its quest to embrace Sharia, Atlantic never foresaw that certain people of other faiths might take exception to eating cattle that had been slaughtered with an Islamic blessing. But since Russ Millard or anyone else working at Atlantic Beef Products won't return my phone calls, let me state it publicly. When it comes to halal slaughter, which is it, guys? A small percentage, or 100%, or something in between? Or is this a matter of Russ Millard stating one stat that will play well to a CBC audience and another stat that is better suited for a rebel media audience? Mr. Millard, with all due respect, it's time to talk turkey with the people of Prince Edward Island, especially those who want to know what the halal is going on their dinner plate. For the Rebel.media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, you might have heard the Rebel has a brand new app. Please download that app and take the Rebel with you wherever you go.